T-minus 10 minutes. T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes. T-minus 5 minutes. T-minus for minutes. T-minus 3 minutes. T-minus 2 minutes. T-minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Hi, everybody. Oh, man. Why am I laughing? Why wouldn't I? Just before we went to air, I opened up the text from yesterday's show. There was some messages that I didn't see or didn't get to. So maybe we'll get to them today. It's a brand new day, episode 1781 of Canada's favorite sports talk show, daytime sports talk show. Let's remind you, hour one, Canadian sports, hour two, U.S. sports, as we go to air across Nevada, in hour two on Silver State Sports Nevada and the Gray Media Network. And helping us out with that in hour two is Lou Gamelin from the Captain Lou Sports Extravaganza. Oh, my God. Mitch and I ran out of time yesterday. That was Mitchell's phrase, and he's right. So let's stop Mickey Mouse. And other than to say, how you doing, Mitchell? How you doing?
It's a beautiful Saskatchewan Tuesday, Roddy.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So we're splitting the big story into two categories, hour one and hour two. And hour two, it's World Cup, and we'll come back around on that. Number one, Mitch, everybody's losing their ever-picking minds across here. And in the absence of, I want to get your take on this, the U.S. media is saying this is the worst time of the year, that's the slowest time of the year. Well, that's a you problem. Here, we got the CFL going, we got the Blue Jays losing, we've got a lot of things going on. And the number one story in our world is this. Rough Riders player Jaden Dahlke was driving on the wrong side of a divided highway with alcohol and cannabis in his SUV when the vehicle slammed into another, killing himself and a second driver, Mountie said on Monday. That was just as we were going off the air yesterday. So they also said that a half hour before the crash on Saturday, northwest of Regina, the linebacker's SUV left a gas station with unpaid fuel. That isn't just a story around here. This is CFL wide. So we've had 23 hours basically since you and I've talked about this. I'll only say this before I want your latest take. And the text line's open at 902-518-3033. People are losing their ever-picking minds around here about this, and across the country, quite frankly, and in a lot of cases, inappropriately so. Now, I've got more thoughts, but you're the guest. What's your thoughts on the very latest on this?
This is just a very sad story. And there are still a lot of questions that haven't been answered. The fact that Jaden Dahlke had alcohol and cannabis in the vehicle with him, that's not good. The toxicology reports have not come out, so we cannot say whether or not he was
eagerly
impaired.
awaited.
Yes,
Awaited.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At Mosaic Stadium yesterday, some teammates said that they had talked to him on his drive home. I found that to be very interesting, especially when you combine that with the incident at the Lumsden gas station. I don't know what was going on there and what those conversations entailed, and it's none of my business and it's none of anybody's business. But there's something about this that isn't right. And sadly, Rod, we have seen Saskatchewan at its lowest common denominator in the past 24 hours.
Yeah.
With some of the statements that have been made. And on both sides. Like, at the end of the day, Jaden Dahlke killed a man. That cannot be argued. We don't know why, what led to this. We won't know until the toxicology reports come out. So there's a lot of hearsay. But like I said, Saskatchewan at its lowest common denominator is coming out. And that's
right. So thank you for that. So I'll say this, because there are other things that I want to get to here, because there's a lot of other things going on. But if you were the Rough Riders, let me just say this. They're home Thursday to Edmonton. How are you handling this? I will say
I
this.
don't know.
I would say
I
would
don't
put,
know. And Roddy,
yeah.
The Saskatchewan Rough Riders are damned if they do and damned if they don't.
That
in
also
this
is true.
Mm-hmm. I may be completely off base here when I say this. I think that the Saskatchewan Rough Riders have to honor the memory of a fallen teammate, somebody in the organization But at the same time, they have to also recognize the other man that was killed.
Bhishma
And
Rajaguru.
I'm not going to pronounce his name because I don't want to screw it up. And
I
whatever.
just did.
But at the same time that they do that, they also have to send a very strong message. But the thing is, if the toxicology report isn't out by that time, how can you do that? I don't, and the other thing is too, Craig Reynolds has to say something, but he can't say it at 3:00 in the afternoon with a camera on that is shown to the fans on the big screen. Craig Reynolds has to be down at the bench or on the 55-yard line or something speaking live to people, in my mind. Now, if people from the Riders are hearing that, they may say you're full of shit, and that's fine. They're more than entitled to. But I think that they have to walk a very thin line here. And as I said, they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't.
The right down the day, July 21st, Jeff the Stamps fan and I actually agree on something. He says it's a difficult situation. Just acknowledge the 2 lives lost, nothing more. I would do exactly that. I would have their images up on the screen, acknowledge their names, and move on. I don't even know that I would do a moment of silence, but what I'm realizing here, listening to you, me saying it out loud, the viewers' comments, there's going to be a million different opinions as to how this should be handled. So at the end of the day, the Rough Riders will do what they feel is best. Utah, Darren writes in, he says, I joined the show very late yesterday. Was saddened to hear of the passing of Dwayne Ward. I had an at-bat and drew a walk from him. I consider it the greatest at-bat I ever had. We lost Dwayne Ward on the weekend. This situation with Jayden Dalkey. If you have any thoughts on Dwayne Ward, I would welcome them, because when we come back on the other side of the break, we'll talk about some happier topics. But of all those great Red Sox dinners that I did and events, one was with Dwayne Ward, and I came up to talk to him in a break. Mitch, I don't know, you might have been there. And I'm like, hey, Dwayne,
no,
I
wasn't
want to talk
at that one.
Yeah, I was like, I want to ask you a couple questions off the mic about your time with the Blue Jays. He's like, well, let's go outside. We're going to have a smoke. So we stood on the front steps of the Turvey Center, and he's just having a dart, talking about the good old days. Just a behemoth of a man. I mean, and just a great guy, all the time in the world for you. You've realized this being around baseball people. They are, without question, the most chill of all the sports. Now, I don't know any soccer players, but which reminds me, that's a big topic when we come back. We'll be right back. 902-518-3033. The text line is open, and the YouTube chat as well. We'll be right back on the RP Show.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Welcome back on the RP Show. We could sit and talk about the games and the scores, and I think I'll do that later. I got a bunch of topics I want to get to with Mitch, not related to that, but we will get to Mitch's and my CFL picks for Week 8. Folks, listen, you've always wanted to go on a cruise. You love the CFL. Uniglobe Carefree Travel in Vancouver is bringing them both together. Join CFL stars on the cruise of a lifetime. 7 days out of the port of Fort Lauderdale, February 20th. A once-in-a-lifetime experience. Adam Bighill, Willie Jefferson, Jake Serezna. Prices starting at $18.99. Cruise only. Contact Neil Chark at Uniglobe Travel. Neil at uniglobecarefree.ca. Scruffy, here are the notes that I wanted to talk about. You saw ESPN letting go Ryan Clark yesterday in the middle of his show. Right in the middle of the show.
You know what's funny?
You're done.
I was watching that show yesterday. Okay. He was talking about the LA Rams and being a Super Bowl contender, and I'm like, okay, fine. That's not a surprise. And then he was talking about another team. I forget who it was. And
Cowboys.
I didn't watch the show right from the start. But then I saw the end of the show, and he wasn't there, and I'm just sort of like, that's interesting. You know, whatever. Like, Orlovsky was there, and the blonde girl.
The usual.
Her name.
Mina Kimes.
The usual host.
Laura Rutledge?
Yeah, she was there. Laura Rutledge, that's what I'm thinking of. And, yeah, all of a sudden he was gone. And it's like, well, whatever. And then, like, 2 hours later, I hear that he's been let go. And I'm like, well,
let me just stop you for a sec. He got whacked yesterday. Today, I mean, my God, people are leaking who's going to be fired today. Carl Ravitch, the longtime MLB announcer, 30 years at ESPN. Yep. He's supposed to be getting whacked today. Tom Pelissero, one of the NFL insiders, whacked today. It reminds me of Jeff O'Neill with TSN. He was suspended in the middle of a show on TSN Toronto because he criticized Bell Media for not sending Joe Bowen on the road, the voice of the Leafs. They're like, you're done. If you recall, he went off the air for a week. It was in the middle of the show. I talked to him about it.
Really? I don't remember that.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Remember, he went away, and nobody knew why. And that was why. So that's the one thing. Number two, The Athletic. I hate to say it, but it's gone way downhill. I went to The Athletic. It's a paid site that I pay for to try and get the inside on the Steve Yzerman situation in Detroit. They don't know any more than we do. I'm like, what am I paying you for? You're supposed to be the insiders. I was very disappointed in that. MLB trade deadline coming up. The popularity of soccer in North America, will it ever be Big Four? Will it nudge out one of the major four, or will it now be the major five? NBA, MLB, NFL, NHL, soccer? Would that any of those grab you? I mean, the ESPN and this crappy media trade, man. If people really knew what it was like.
Oh, no kidding. The soccer story is interesting. And Canada Soccer put out a thing last night, and it's on both my social feeds. I don't know if they were talking about Canadian football or football as a whole. And I include the NFL and NCAA when I say that. And I guess the UFL and other leagues. But they had a thing about the top 3 sports for men and women.
I know.
And football wasn't on the list. And I'm like, excuse me? What? Like, again, I know the CFL purists are going to bash me when I say this, but the interest in Canadian football in our country is not as great as it is for football south of the border, both NFL and NCAA. But please don't try and tell me that football is not one of the top 3 sports in Canada. Now, if you're just saying the Canadian Football League, okay, maybe you have an argument. And then they had a thing about the top 10 teams for men and for women. The only CFL team on there was the Montreal Alouettes.
I saw the same thing you did. Yep.
Excuse me?
Well, I know. But, man,
like,
hang
did
on,
they ask
stop.
5 people in Saskatchewan about this stuff?
No, but I had soccer people sending me those.
I looked at that and I said, you know what? There's a lot of good in that report for soccer and its future in Canada. But I also looked at a lot of the other stuff and went, who are you trying to kid?
Okay, well, I had soccer people sending me those results too. They're like, see? I'm like, why are you trying to do this? I don't care.
Well, you knew that was going to happen after the World Cup. They're going to put something out.
You get what I'm saying is don't come at me. Well, you think we're that influential? Are you going to try and get us to become soccer people? Because it might. Yeah, well, I'm not. So forget it. Scott in Vancouver writes in. He says, "I thought Jeff O'Neill was suspended. He was suspended. That's not the point. The point is that you suspended, fired. There's a fine line really between the two. The point is you got to be so careful of what you say. I mean, Ryan Clark. I'm sure they were upset with what he was saying yesterday. That guy's always in a fight with somebody.
Ryan Clark's an idiot, if you ask me.
I don't like him on the air at all. I don't like him on the air
at all. That guy.
No, me either. Ryan in upstate New York says, "G'day, Rod Squad. Seems like media layoffs are not just on the local level, but now they're reaching the national level in the U.S." Carlos in Indiana says, "In that industry, people are hired to be fired." Here's the thing. You're looking at 2 guys that have been fired multiple times. It's easy for you to say that. Try being in that industry. That's really all that I'm saying, because people are going to say, "Oh, that's your choice." It was,
Roddy.
But you see what?
I don't know if you have anybody that asks you about the business these days. Young people that ask you about the business.
A little bit.
I've had a couple of people that have asked me whether or not they should go to journalism school because they see what's going on out there, and it pains me to tell them no, they shouldn't. Because this industry, sorry, man, like when it comes to radio and TV in this country, it's on a downward slope. And
I wouldn't tell them to do it.
Anytime soon.
I wouldn't tell them to do it, but one of the other guys that was recognized as a CKRM icon the other night, Jeff Courier, tried to discourage me in the 1980s from going into the business for all the reasons you just said. And it didn't stop me. So I'm like, do what you want to do, but be prepared. I also tell them, have a second skill ready. Have a second skill
ready. Was Jeff at that event?
Ready. No, he was not. I apologize to Scott in Vancouver. He says he was referring to Sean Lemon, who was signed by the Toronto Argonauts yesterday. But he goes, I thought he was suspended. He was suspended. He was reinstated by the commissioner of the Canadian Football League, Stuart Johnston. So
I don't like
that. Can I plead the fifth?
Yep.
You don't like it because why?
The integrity of the game, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when Brendan Sorsby's issue came up. Sean Lemon's a guy that was gambling. We knew he was on his teams. He was gambling on games. What's to say this isn't going to happen again? Like, I really question this one now. Like, how much lemon does Sean Lemon have left in the tank?
Enough, apparently.
But
The Argos
I
think.
don't know. I think this is one that the CFL. I like what Stuart Johnston's doing, but I don't like this one.
Well, let me. Mitch knows this. The viewers do not. Read my lips. You talk about these guys getting fired, suspended, whatever. If you criticize those in charge, you're done. Period. The Jeff O'Neill thing is a great example. Suspended, was welcomed back, but do you think he's done it since? No. Those guys on the air. Like, I'm watching the Blue Jays game last night, which reminds me, the poll question today is, should John Schneider be fired? I'm watching the Blue Jays last night. Every time I turn them on, they're awful. Are they awful every game? Like, they're dead last in the American League East, Mitch. And here's Dan Schulman, who they don't make him better, right? They don't get better than Dan Schulman. And he's on the air going, well, the Blue Jays have had their defensive struggles this year, but it's not that guy. It's not Vladdy. He's having a great season defensively.
Yeah,
Right? You and I've waved the pom-poms. I've made the decision. I don't really want to wave the pom-poms anymore.
Roddy,
That's why we're sitting.
You know
What?
I do not like the Toronto Blue Jays.
Right.
You know I don't like them. I haven't liked them for years. And part of the reason why is, how do I put this in a way? The constant verbal fellatio that they must give to their fans for them to continue to be positive.
I'm not sure that's even appropriate. You had to think to say that?
I don't know if it is either, but hell, we're not doing a show on local radio.
Anyways,
so.
Continue.
But you're right. And like, I saw a piece last night where they kept talking about Vladdy.
Yeah.
At some point, Shai Davidi, Arden Zwelling, Hazel May, Jamie Campbell, who you know I love, Dan Shulman, Joe Siddle, the guy, Kevin Barker. At some point, will someone come out and say Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is just playing like an absolute piece of crap this year? Instead of this, oh, he got a hit on Sunday. I think he's coming out. No, he's not. Stop. You're
but you know the
making
drill.
yourself look bad. And I'm just going to take it over to the team that I watch every day, the Chicago Cubs. Last year, Kyle Tucker was absolute dog shit for them. Boog Shambi, Jim Deshaies, Rick Sutcliffe, they all came out and said, what is this guy's problem? When he was having hitting problems. Now, we found out later that he had hurt his hand and didn't want to say anything to anybody. And that might be what's going on with Vladdy in his back. But for God's sake, don't be afraid to criticize a member of the team when the whole world can see that he's playing like a piece of crap.
But you also know why they're doing it. So as Carlos says, the people in that industry are hired to be fired. Mitch and I both raised kids. We had bills to pay, mouths to feed. So I'm not saying this to you. You know it. You were there. Oh, they're hired to be fired. No big deal. Really? So why do you think these guys are sitting there saying what they say on the air? You know the answer to it. It just makes it very hard to watch when you know differently. That's all. And by the way, the poll question today is, should John Schneider be fired as manager of the Blue Jays? Again, they're dead last. Well, no, he shouldn't. But they had, when I turned it off last night, they had 3 errors in the field. I don't know how many they ended up with in the game. There's 5 runs all weekend.
They showed a graphic last night.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I'm just trying to. It was George Springer, Alejandro Kirk, Vladimir Guerrero, and there was another player. I forget who it was. But they took their numbers combined at 100 games last year and combined it to 100 games this year and where they're at. That team just, they caught lightning in a bottle last year, and I told you that was going to happen. And I didn't think the Blue Jays would even come close to repeating this year. I didn't think it was going to be this bad.
Well, and it's what's in my commentary today.
Vladdy disappeared.
Yeah, you talk
disappeared. Haven't got
but now they're
anything
screwed.
from Addison Barger. Like,
No, I didn't even know he was still on the team. But hey, Vladdy, you get the highest paid salary with $37.5 million of all time. Shapiro, you get an extension. Ross Atkins, you get an extension. Whoa. Well, you didn't win. You got a couple flags to put up on the wall, but you didn't win a World Series. Oh my God! But good for those guys for convincing Rogers to extend all their deals. By the way, a lot of comments coming in. I love it. Kevin the Medium says Vladdy has been amazing defensively, like off the charts. As for the bats, he's been horrible.
Really?
Darren and Melford says Barker said Vladdy is horrible this year. He says it how it is. So did Caleb on the air on Sportsnet. Jason and Red Deer say 66% say no. John Schneider should not be fired. Argo. Can I call you Argo Bill? He says, kick them when they're down, Scruffy. Scruffy's not a Jays fan, so he's allowed to say whatever he wants. Plus, he's a Cubs fan. He's got enough of his own scars and baggage. We'll be back. Week 8 CFL pick. Haven't even got to the NHL yet, which there's news there. We'll be right back. 902-518-3033 on the YouTube chat. If you want to participate, we'll be right back on the RP Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Dean Brody and the Recklaws teaming up for the Hometown Heroes Tour.
If there's work, you know I'm gonna work.
Live at Temple Garden Center, November 9th.
Can't blame nobody else. I can't help myself.
Two of Canada's biggest country acts. One stage, one unforgettable night on the Hometown Heroes Tour. Tickets on sale now at the Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, You can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Last segment with Scruffy, so we're going to get our picks in here. Kelly writes in on the Western Dodge text line, 902-518-3033, says, Happy Tuesday. No more soccer talk. Hooray. Have a great sports weekend, as we say back in the olden days. Good afternoon and good farming. Jim Smalley reporting. I don't know if you heard this, Mitch. Just for those that don't know, the CKRM Icons Night the other night, Jim Smalley got up, recognized as one of the 9, our longtime ag director, the Les Nessman of Canada. Did you hear? Did you watch his portion? You saw that he went on and on.
No, I didn't. I only saw yours. I didn't realize that Access Communications was doing that thing live.
Yeah.
And I was alerted to that on Sunday morning. And I had no idea. I went back and I just sort of fast forwarded it to where you were, and that was all I was interested in. And you did a good job.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Scruffy.
Dave Thomas did a good job.
Smalley came up there with notes. I'm like, this is going to be a long night. And it was. We were going to use Colin Lovequist's cane to pull Smalley off the air, but off the stage. But Lovequist wouldn't let me do it. I know you're shocked.
I may have to go back and watch that part now, too.
I know. No, when you're trying to have a nap this afternoon.
In all your years of broadcasting, have you ever met a bigger beaut than Jim Smalley?
Absolutely not. Good afternoon and good farming. He's Canada's Les Nessman. I said to him one day in the hallway.
And we're not joking when we say that.
No. I said to him, this guy loves farming so much. I said to him one day, hey, if you ate today, thank a farmer. Smalley started to cry. He got so emotional. If you've eaten today, thank a farmer. His tears welled up. Anyways, week 8 in the Canadian Football League. The Edmonton Elcamos on Thursday are at the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Battle of division leaders. Who wins it, Mitchell?
I don't know. After everything that's gone on this week. If this game was being played on Saturday or Sunday, I might lean towards the Riders. But with everything that's going on and the firestorm surrounding this team, I have to think that Edmonton has an advantage going in.
You're going to take Edmonton? You're talking to me. I was going to take the Riders.
At this point, I am. Am I allowed to take another team? Because I wasn't allowed to do that when you and I used to work together, and if I did, I got shit for it. As I said, if this game was on Saturday or Sunday, I probably would go with the Riders, and I'd have went with the Riders before the information came out on the weekend as to what happened. But they've got a lot to digest and a lot to go through in that room, and I just don't know if they're going to be 100% fixated on the game. So
it's a battle for West.
But as I said, everything's subject to change.
It's a battle for West Division supremacy in the Canadian Football League. I'll take Saskatchewan to win. Friday, the Calgary Stampeders of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in a rematch of the 2001 Grey Cup. I'll take the Stamps. How about you?
In Winnipeg?
Yep.
I got to take the Bombers at home.
Go ahead.
Winnipeg's so good at home. I learned that lesson last week.
You've heard of the phrase a 3 dressed up as a 9? I think the Stampeders are a 9 dressed up as a 3.
Really?
They're 2-4.
See, I'm just not sold on them.
But I think they're a very good football team. Have you ever seen a 9 dressed up as a 3? Like, what is that? That's like a hot girl going to the gas station in baggy sweats.
Roddy, I am not going to sit here and pretend that you have never visited places like JD's, Delbert's, Checkers, The Pump.
Of what you speak.
You know exactly what a 9 dressed up as a 3 and a 3 dressed up as a 9 is.
That's why God invented alcohol. Saturday, it's the Braley Bowl. Toronto at BC. What are you thinking?
Without Nathan Rourke, it's going to be pretty tough for the Lions. Chase Bryce will be better, but I got to go with Toronto here.
Oh boy. Yeah, see, you don't need too much info. You know. I'm going to listen. I'm writing you down as T for Toronto. I'm going to take BC. Whatever. I want them to win. Maybe I can speak it into existence. Sunday, Hamilton at Montreal. They've never met in the Grey Cup, so I can't say it's a rematch of any Grey Cup. This one should not be necessarily close. Mind you, we didn't think the Winnipeg-Ottawa game would be close either, and it went to 4 overtimes. So I guess you don't know, but I'm taking Montreal.
I think that the optimism that was surrounding Trey Ford after the game last week, they've got some film to look at him now in Hamilton, and I think Montreal will win this one going away.
The picks are for Pump Jacks Cathedral, Pump Jacks Weyburn. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Pump Jacks Steakhouse and Saloon, Weyburn and Cathedral. The hockey note, we have just a couple minutes left here. I'm not going to read the whole script on it, but Connor Bedard met with the media yesterday, and he said the Leo Carlson contract had nothing to do with what he signed for in Chicago. Said he loves playing there, and said that I'm making a lot of money. So I'm kind of happy that he said that. Do you believe
said he
him?
wants Patrick Kane to play with him.
Yeah, he said that would turn them into a winning team, or at least help their chances. Do you agree with that?
We know that Patrick Kane brings a lot into a dressing room and does a lot more than just on the ice stuff. He would be a leader for them. Much like I think Corey Perry was a leader for the young Edmonton Oilers for the time that he was there.
Well, he did diddly squat in Detroit, which, by the way, I'm got Lou Gamelin coming on next hour. Yeah. Well, I got Lou Gamelin coming on next hour for the Captain Lou Extravaganza in Detroit to talk about the Wings, because the Athletic dropped the ball. Where you go? What's your filet mignon for sports news right now? 'Cause it's pretty hard to wade through the crap out there to find anything good.
It is sort of a dead time right now, but and obviously I want to take away the big story around here, but I think it's just the fact that the CFL started the second third of the season, and we had a great first 7 weeks. Hopefully that can continue, but with Bo Levi Mitchell hurt, Zach Collaros hurt, and Nathan Rourke hurt, it definitely hurts the overall production and excitement level of the league. And let's hope that no number one quarterbacks, get hurt this week, because that just makes for a bad product when you've got a lot of number 2 quarterbacks in there.
Vintage Sasko writes in, he says, "Hey, Father Rodney and the Blair necessities." He goes, "I'm sorry I'm late. I was meeting with my lawyer about my Twitter suspension. Will not be appealing." He says, "Curious if the Argos will be holding bingo night and having Matlock do the coin toss with old-ass Sean Lemon coming back. Bless you," signed Vintage Sasko. Basically, having the Golden Girls come out and do a routine. He's saying Sean Lemon's old. That's what he's saying. Trevor Harris is 40. I mean, I don't think age is a thing anymore in pro sports. Have you noticed?
Why isn't Trevor Harris being talked about for MLP?
Because he's boring.
Okay.
I mean, this came up yesterday. I'm sorry, but I just don't have a lot of time for the discussion right now. It's July.
Yeah, bro, I know, but it's the discussion. Like, I had somebody the other day saying, like, what was it? Was it TSN or Sportsnet? Someone talking about Canada's World Cup of Hockey team. What? Really? Stop. No.
Oh, no, I know, but it is what it is. It was like me being on the air in Amarillo, Texas the other day, and the guy goes, "Who's going to win the Stanley Cup this year?" I'm like, dude, I've not even stopped to think about it. Let me look into that a little bit. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just saying, if people are into $1 million, it'll be nice when football, NFL, and college get going, because everything's in it. And with the soccer thing, somebody wrote into our Facebook yesterday, because I said soccer's not entertaining. Some guy goes, better than watching 2 backups in front of 75 people like we saw in Ottawa Sunday night. And I'm like, What do I say to that? Yeah, like the attendance is not lighting the world on fire in the CFL. I'm glad that's not my job to make that happen because I don't even know where I would start. Okay, Mitchell, thanks for your picks. We did it. You have a great scruffy week.
Be good to yourself.
And to each other, to quote Jerry Springer. We'll be right back. 902-518-3033. It's the RP Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Okay, I brought it out after Mitch adjourned because he gets triggered, and I don't blame him. There's a lot of people writing in here about, Jeff the Stamps fan yesterday said, what Hall of Fame did you go into, Rod? Well, it wasn't really, well, it was a Hall of Fame, but they don't call it a Hall of Fame. This is what I got the other night. It says 620 CKRM 100 years in one night celebration, July 18th, 2026. CKRM radio icon, Rod Pedersen, it says right there. It was, I didn't make a real big deal of it going in because I thought at some point it could be yanked away. But here it is. It's all written down. That's going home and going on the wall in my home in Florida. And, the reason Mitch gets triggered is Mitch was fired there. Most people get fired there. That's the thing. Sports and media are so similar that way. Carlos in Indiana says you're hired to be fired. Doesn't make it easy. Have you been fired? Anyways, yeah, so Wayne, and I saved some of these messages here. Wayne in BC writes that he says, it's great, Rod, that you finally got the recognition for your years of being an icon of CKRM. Congrats again. Thank you, Wayne. To the sports topics, Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, hey, Rod, from a rainy Toronto, yes to firing John Schneider, and yes to cutting Argos kicker Hiram Hiralahu. His misses have cost him 2 straight games. In the NFL, you'd be gone. Yeah, but maybe that's because there's a lineup of guys in the NFL to replace you that there might not be in the CFL. I'm not sure, but I'm just being devil's advocate here. Regarding those picks, Vancouver Eric says the Elks almost lost to a backup quarterback Friday night. Paper Tiger. Well, we're going to find out Thursday. That's what makes the game so much fun. The lid lifter to Week 8 in the CFL, Edmonton at Saskatchewan. And it's a great point by Mitch. How much does the death of a teammate in season and everything that goes around it going to affect this football team? There's no way to know other than you got to watch the game. Utah Darren says Trevor Harris's superpower is to bore you with completions and wins. Yeah, he's not snazzy, but he does win. I was always a fan of his. Hands up. Did you see the graphic Sunday night? Were you watching the game? Trevor Harris is the ultimate. If I have that right, Trevor Harris leads Ottawa in all-time wins by a quarterback. I mean, that does not include Russ Jackson, obviously. That's the current Red Blacks franchise. But Henry Burris 2, I think it was Kevin Glenn. No, sad. This is what it was. It was Trevor Harris 1, Henry Burris 2, Drew Brown 3. That's how crappy that franchise has been for the last decade and a bit. But I would have thought Kevin Glenn would have been a little higher on the list because he wasn't there long enough. Scott in Vancouver says Patrick Kane has to be over 35. I think he's 38, 39. I mean, Bedard's out there playing against Patrick Kane. If he thinks that he could help the Chicago Blackhawks, I mean, I would be stunned. And I'll probably talk about this more next hour, but I would be stunned if Chicago brings him back. I would be stunned if he'd want to go back. There was a very painful split. It's talked about that with Charleston Hughes. I don't need to go down that road. Because I could sit and talk about it every day for hours. The fans don't really understand. Why does Charleston Hughes not live in Calgary anymore? Why do I not live in Regina anymore? Why does G-Roy not live in Vancouver at any point anymore? These things happen. And that's why I don't think Patrick Kane goes back to Chicago in any significant role, not as a player. But I could be wrong. It's happened like once. Andrew in North Battleford writes in, he says, apparently the Blue Jays got rings for last year. Make it make sense. Teams have been doing that in MLB for a long time. If you win American League, National League, you get a ring. Wildest thing, I thought, in the CFL, in 94, the Baltimore Stallions owner, Jim Spiros, got his team rings for winning the U.S. division, even though they lost to BC in the Grey Cup. That's how badly he wanted a ring. So this stuff with the kooky and zany owners, by the way, it's been going on forever. It's just far more public now. BW writes in, he says, morning RP squad. With the Saskatchewan defense, it's literally next man up after the loss of Dulkey. From an X's and O's standpoint, absolutely. From an emotional standpoint, which, by the way, if you believe, what do they say? Half of the game is 90% mental. It's the locker room's gone through trauma. And we opened the show talking about this. This province has gone off the hinge. When the authorities, the first response, like for the fire department, needs to come out and say, please don't believe what you're reading on social media. It's factually incorrect. It's people that are out of control. That locker room is in trauma. And certification here, grief, trauma, stress management. 100% of us will go through trauma at some point in our lives. So it's not like we don't. It's just the older you get, the more you can kind of look back and go, oh, that's what. And maybe you weren't performing at your best when you were in a traumatic situation. I got to think about this a little more. Mitch might be right. He's like, all things being equal, he would have taken Sask to beat Edmonton. But given this, I think he might be right. Scott in Vancouver answers his own question. He says he's 37 years old, will be 38 in November. We'll see. He's got those hands that'll never end, but he got a tough time getting up and down the ice. To recap the quick six show topics for our friends at Uniglobe Carefree Travel. Number one was rider player Jaden Dahlke was driving on the wrong side of a divided highway with alcohol and cannabis in his SUV when the vehicle slammed into another, killing himself and a second driver, Bhishma Rajaguru, Saturday night, according to the RCMP. Basically where it's at now, everybody is waiting on pins and needles for the toxicology report. Was he under the influence? We don't know. And based on the findings of that, if you ain't seen nothing yet, is what I will respectfully submit in terms of people losing their minds. Point 1B is soccer. I'm going to push that to hour 2 because we're almost there. By the way, they'll warm up for Uniglobe Carefree Travel, as I mentioned, when it comes to sports trips, group travel, or your next great getaway. Trust the pros who handle every detail so you can enjoy the journey. Contact Neil Chark with Uniglobe Carefree Travel. Just go give him a follow on Instagram and Facebook and tell him you're there because of the RP show. That would help us out a lot. Neil's a great guy. Point 2 is when Vladdy struck out with Ernie Clement on first and 1 out in the 8th, there were plenty of dissenters among the 40,837 fans at Rogers Center Monday night. Struggling Blue Jay slugger was booed as he failed to cash in or at least advance the runner from first in each of his 4 at-bats in a 7-1 series opening loss to the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm not even going to admonish the Blue Jays fans. You pay your money. The exorbitantly inflated prices, as Moose tells me, this year, because I'm not living in Toronto. I'm not buying Blue Jays tickets, but yeah, I guess they have a right. I just don't like to see players get booed. It wasn't Vladdy's decision to raise your tickets prices. It's just sad. Every time I turn on a Blue Jays game, it's just sad. I've watched very few good Blue Jays games this year, and they were accentuating. I will say this, the camera guy put the camera on the number of errors. It was at 3 errors by the Blue Jays fielders. At this one point in the game, they were down 5-1. I'm like, ooh. Yeah. So the poll question is, should John Schneider be fired? Last we saw, Jason from Red Deer saying 64% saying no, he shouldn't be fired. How long does it go on? Point 3 is hockey. We talked about Bedard. Here's another one. Hockey Canada announced its coaching staff for the 2027 World Juniors with Drew Bannister, Brad Lauer, Jim Holton, and Ryan Getzlaff being named assistants to head coach Misha Donskov's staff. I wanted to get into this with Scruffy. How do we think Ryan Getzlaff will fare as a coach? I think he'll be great. He's the kind of guy that's just always great. Montreal Canadiens have hired Derek Lalonde as an assistant coach. The team announced the 53-year-old spent last season as his assistant with Toronto after serving as head coach at Detroit, won 2 Stanley Cups as an assistant with John Cooper in Tampa Bay. And point 5, here's an interesting one. The Toronto Temper, the Freudian slip. The Toronto Tempo are looking forward to a mental and physical rest period over the WNBA's All-Star break so they can be ready to attack the season's second half. The expansion franchise dropped a 109-83 decision to the Las Vegas Aces at Coca-Cola Coliseum on Monday night. I got more. I'll push it to hour 2. This is where I'm kind of at in sports. I'm not even. I said to Mitch, "Where do you go for your sports?" And he kind of fumbled around with the answer. It didn't sound like he really knew where he goes for his sports. For years and years and years, you heard me talk about my subscription to the Canadian Press, and I let it go a few months ago. But I found a new subscription service, which is far less expensive. It's where I get my information for this show. And the number one item on that site, it's different than tsn.ca. It's different than espn.com. It's different because you know me, I'm different. This show is different. But the number one story on that site was the Toronto Temper and the WNBA. And I'm just sitting back going, are we in a fad, a trend, or just the way things are going? Or is it because it's the middle of July that the number one stories in sports that we're seeing right now are WNBA? I mean, again, when I was growing up, there was no WNBA. Nobody gave a rat's ass about soccer. I was sitting in my cousin's farmhouse when I was about a month ago, actually. I said, did we even have a soccer ball in the multi-purpose room of Milestone School? And he broke out laughing. Did we even have a soccer ball? I don't think we did. So don't blame us, just like I don't blame the new Canadians for not getting into the Canadian Football League because they didn't grow up with it. Why they're buying tickets to hockey, you'd have to go ask them. Anyways, I'm just saying, where are we going? Where are we, and where are we going? Lou Gamelin joining us next hour from the Captain Lou Sports Extravaganza. It's brought to you by Prairie Panels. We'll be right back after this timeout.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Well, it's a very big day because it's the next one, and we're alive for it, and we're very grateful for that. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show as we welcome viewers across Las Vegas into that on Silver State Sports. We continue rolling on Game Plus, streaming across Canada and around the world. Podcast and WQVZ Radio. By the way, I apologize, Ryan O Radio from WQVZ, for all of Scruffy's swearing and inappropriateness in hour one. I've said it many times. He's like Herschel Walker. You can't stop him. You can only hope to control him. Coming up this hour in our guest spot for Prairie Panels is my good friend Lou Gamelin from the 12-ounce Sports Network in Michigan, the Captain Lou Extravaganza. And I'll tell you why in a second. Notice something different, what we've done with the place? I brought this up to show you because I'm actually really proud of this. Ta-da! This was the Icon Award that I was given on Saturday night from the radio station, for which I worked 24 years, almost half my life, and pretty much the entirety of my adult life is where I worked. And they called me an icon there Saturday night, along with 8 other people from that radio station. So I wanted to, a lot of the viewers asked about it, and yeah. I didn't bring it up when Scruffy was on because, like the rest of us, Scruffy got fired there. He'd have been an icon, too. He just wasn't there long enough for hour one co-host. So that's going to sit there, and I'll say thank you so much to Harvard Broadcasting. It means, the more I think about it, it means so much to me. It really, really does. Made all the hard work worth it. The big story, we got a couple. I said I was going to change it for hour 2 of the show, hour 1 on Silver State Sports. Spain's World Cup winning soccer team returned home on Monday, and an estimated crowd of almost 2 million was on hand to greet the squad through the streets of Madrid. The 26 players and their coaching staff met with the country's royals and then with Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez after arriving in the Spanish capital a day after beating Argentina 1-0 in the final in New Jersey. All I'm going to say about this, I'm not going to sit here and break down the game. I never did, not going to today. I said yesterday, we made a meme out of it and got a lot of people hot and bothered, where I said, soccer's just not entertaining. Stop trying to tell me that it is. And a lot of good friends of mine are really big soccer fans, and they got upset about it. I'm like, guys, after all these years, you don't understand what I'm doing. I'm just getting you going. I'm getting your goat. There's studies, because this show is a Canadian-produced show, studies in this country about how soccer is now the number 3 most popular sport in Canada. Hockey 1, baseball 2, soccer 3. No, who did you ask? I don't believe that. I've had soccer people sending it to me. Those are nice. You're nice people. But I got enough to talk about here with what I've been talking about for decades. The National Hockey League, the Canadian Football League, the National Football League. I'm not that important. You can get soccer in a lot of other places. So we did it. It's behind us. Let's move on. Point 1B is what's really big around here. And for the absence of any other outdoor football being played right now in North America, it's the Canadian Football League. And the biggest story in the league is this. Saskatchewan Roughriders player Jaden Dalkey was driving on the wrong side of a divided highway with alcohol and cannabis in his SUV when the vehicle slammed into another, killing himself and a second driver Saturday night. This according to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. They also said that about a half hour before the crash on Saturday, northwest of Regina, the linebacker's SUV left a gas station with unpaid fuel. So when I say this is league-wide, all the teams expressed condolences to the Rough Riders and to the Dalkey family. We didn't. Now today, this news about the substances came out just as we were going off the air on Monday. And I'm like, oh boy. So what I will tell you with the latest is we are all on pins and needles awaiting the toxicology report from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, because if this player had substances in his system, to say people are losing their effort-picking minds right now is an understatement from all sides. It's really bad. And we still don't know whether he was driving under the influence. If we find out that he is or was, ooh boy. And then Thursday night, Saskatchewan is home to the Edmonton Elks. They're playing. They have to. The show must go on Thursday night. How's it going to affect the team? Is the victim, Bhishma Rajaguru, going to be acknowledged in any way? I would hope so. We've been talking about that. That was mostly hour 1. That's kind of what's rocking the Canadian Football League right now. But we did make our picks in hour 1. If you want to go back and watch on our YouTube, you certainly can. The warm-up is brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel Group, the preferred travel partner of the RP Show, and the CFL's BC Lions. They are offering the cruise February 20th with CFL stars. You love cruises, you hate the winter, and you love Canadian football. What's not to love? Contact Neil, Neal, at uniglobecarefree.ca. Point 2, when Vladimir Guerrero Jr. struck out with Ernie Clement on first and 1 out in the 8th inning Monday night, there were plenty of boo birds coming out of the crowd among the 40,837 at Rogers Center on Monday night. Struggling Blue Jays slugger was booed as he failed to cash in or at least advance the runner from first in each of his 4 at-bats in an eventual 7-1 loss to Tampa Bay. Vladdy, who was yet to homer at home this year, flew out to right in the first. He smacked a shot to the base of the wall and left for the final out in the second and flew out to right in the 5th. And I watched that game. He tossed his bat up. He knew he was flying out. You've seen ball players do it. The Blue Jays sunk to, I will say this, last I saw, the announcers haven't been suspended for saying the truth. The Blue Jays have sunk to the furthest in the standings and off the division lead that they have all year. It's just sad. So the poll question today is, should the Toronto Blue Jays fire the skipper, John Schneider? Last report, 64% of respondents saying no, he shouldn't be fired. But he's going to. And I know that we're airing in Las Vegas where the A's play, and they are at Arizona tonight. But this is a Jays show. I see no reason for that to change. So the Blue Jays go to Game 7 of the World Series. They give Vladdy the big contract, which was actually before the World Series, but you get my point. They give an extension to the general manager, Ross Atkins, an extension to the president, Mark Shapiro. And I'm like, excuse me, they didn't win. But now here they are, dead last. What a pinch. As I put on my recovery company's Instagram account today, thank you, God, for the problems I don't have. For all of the things we've been talking about since we've been on the air here for the last 6 minutes. Jason in Red Deer writes in and says, Rod, who was the guy in the photos giving you the Icon Award? He really looks familiar to me. He is the current voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and I was remiss in saying, because I wanted to on the stage the other night, that he does a great job. I really enjoy listening to him. Dave Thomas, not the founder of Wendy's. Really great guy. We had a great chat. Carlos in Indiana says, do you have a spot in the Florida studio for it yet? We'll make a spot in the Florida studio. Don't you worry. I'm thinking about, are we putting it over the couch? Are we putting it on this? I don't know. One day at a time. I will say this, though. Hey, right on cue, Trevor's shown up from WQAM Miami. He says, what up, Rod and party people? I've been talking to my Florida people. Trevor wasn't one of them, but let's throw him in the group. They're ready for me to come home. They're like, when are you coming home? That's what they're all. I said, Labor Day weekend. Having a great summer up here. And they're all very jealous that I'm enjoying cool Canadian summer weather as they're dying across the U.S. South. Figuratively. We did our picks, by the way, in hour 1. They're for week 8 of the Canadian Football League. They're brought to you by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon, Pump Jack's Cathedral, and Pump Jack's Weyburn. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Speaking of friends, that's where Trevor from WQAM Miami and I met, because he says I'm the only guy in South Florida that he can talk hockey with. Point 3, Connor Bedard never wavered. Whenever the young center was asked Monday about his future, he always responded with similar variations of the same message, all the way to his new $75 million 5-year contract with the Chicago Blackhawks. Connor Bedard, whom I first met when he was 14, met with the media Monday about his new deal and said, quote, I've said it so much, and it's not anything fake. Chicago's really, the only place I want to play. I'm very happy with the amount of money I'm making. It's a lot. $15 million a year for the next 5 years. That ain't bad. The poll question yesterday was, will the Chicago Blackhawks win a Stanley Cup in his time? It's, Lou Gamelin is coming up next, by the way, from the Captain Lou Extravaganza in Michigan, 12-ounce sports network. And we'll probably sashay over a little bit. As a matter of fact, I know we will, to this Blackhawks situation, because I guess Connor mentioned yesterday he wouldn't mind if the Blackhawks took a swing at signing Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane has done next to nothing since he was in Detroit. I think everybody forgot. He had the hip surgery, the very rare hip surgery, at least for NHL players. I'm sure there's a lot of folks out in the civilians that are getting it, but he's just not the same player. And Connor Bedard seems to think that Patrick Kane will help the Blackhawks' chances. My God, probably, but that's not saying much. A team that's finished 31st each of the last 3 seasons out of 32 teams in the NHL. They don't have any talent. They got terrible culture. God bless Connor. I will say this. It's an unbelievable town. We were there a couple years ago, went to some games. Chicago's a great place. I see why Connor wants to stay there. I really do. One of the greatest markets in the National Hockey League. But as one of the viewers and fans said to us, forget about winning the Stanley Cup in his time. Will they make the playoffs in his time? Captain Lou from the Captain Lou Extravaganza, Lou Gamelin next. I'm bringing him on to talk about the Steve Yzerman situation, which is by another way. Trevor, thank you, Trevor. He says, I personally enjoy the heat down here in Florida. If I had to choose between the cold in the winter or the heat in the summer, I'm going to take the heat. But as I've said many, many times, as long as I can keep coming to Canada in the summer, I'm going to do it. Kevin the Medium checking in says it was an amazing evening. He's referring to the other night. The icon thing. Thank you for coming, Kevin. You and Angela, I really appreciated you guys being there, and I'm glad that you had fun. But anyways, I had Lou lined up late last week to come on the show. But this morning I see a headline at The Athletic that says something about chaos in Hockey Town or drama in Hockey Town, something like that. I'm like, oh, I got to click on this because I'm paying for it after all to be a subscriber at The Athletic. And it was unbelievably disappointing. Now, don't get it twisted. There are some great writers there. Pierre LeBrun comes to mind, and I think Chris Johnston's there too. But overall, it's a joke compared to what used to be. I click on the article. There's nothing here at all. The only thing of substance that he said that was not in any way, shape, or form investigative journalism or groundbreaking Pulitzer Prize winning stuff was Steve Yzerman. They ran out of time. Steve Yzerman ran out of time. Stevie Y. What does that say for the next guy that takes that chair? How much patience is there going to be for him? So, back to Chicago, they have a major, major, major culture problem, the Blackhawks. Hello. Anybody can see that. Number 2, clearly Detroit does as well. And to be honest, the article, it wasn't terrible, but I didn't really learn anything. It just basically said, how's Steve Yzerman going to walk into that office every day after being demoted from general manager? Maybe he won't walk into the office every day, though. Maybe he'll do it remotely. My God, these teams have assistant GMs now that don't even live in the same city. So he's probably not going to be in the rink every day. I didn't learn anything. And I'm not necessarily, just if Lou's logged in yet, I'm like, I don't want to put his feet to the fire and expect him to tell me everything that went on in Detroit. But I feel like he would have a better idea than what the writer at The Athletic does that covers the Red Wings. You went through a terrible end of the season. You missed the playoffs again. You went through the draft. You went through free agency. And now you fire Steve Yzerman, which you basically did. And you're looking for a GM, which says you didn't have a succession plan in place. Something happened. I wonder if Lou knows. Eric writes in. Where are you watching from, Eric? In the YouTube chat. He says, no opinion. Go #Nats, #MLB. Go #Argos, #CFL. BW from Edmonton writes in and he says, I canceled my Athletic subscription. Not as good as it once was. No, it's bad. So I just wanted, furthermore, because I had a lot of notes written down, and Scruffy and I got to a lot of them last hour. But it's very, very hard to be an insider these days. It's very difficult. And we bought the Athletic for insider knowledge that they no longer have. So I'm kind of sitting there going, why do I have this? The leagues are giving the information to the Adam Schefters and the Elliot Friedmans and the Jeff Passans and MLB. That's just the way that it is. And by the way, if you go and break a story and it's not run through the team, off with your head. It's kind of where we're at. Oh, you're in Virginia. Eric, thank you for tuning in. You are watching on streaming. You may want to go back to hour 1 where we had a hell of a lot of CFL coverage, including our Week 8 picks. which is actually coincidentally point 4 of my quick 6 show topics. Number 1 was World Cup / Jaden Delkey story. Number 2, the Blue Jays and John Schneider. Number 3, the National Hockey League and kind of an odd. Number 4, the CFL. Week 8, we did our picks last hour. I've got Sask. I may change that to win. Calgary, BC against your Argos and Montreal. Point 5 is the WNBA. Where's it going? I guess they're on the All-Star break right now. I mean, don't cancel me. I'm not moving off the sports that I love. I love my NHL. I love my CFL. I love my NFL. And on occasion, MLB when the Blue Jays are winning. I think that's pretty good. But I feel like it's a new time, and there's a lot of other new sports in our purview. And soccer being one of them. Women's basketball. Should I automatically be expected to watch? I don't know. We'll talk about that with Lou and more when we come back on the RP Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
When we talk hockey, it's for our friends at the Mad Greek Eatery. Are you craving the famous Greek ribs that everybody is raving about? Well, you can get yours today at the Mad Greek Eatery. Dine in, pick up, or order online at themadgreekeatery.com. Open till 11 every night. That's when we talk hockey. That's why I have you, Lou. And I don't know how long you've been watching. I'm not specifically going to ask you to give me all the gory details of Steve Yzerman being ousted as general manager of the Red Wings, but I feel like you can tell me more than anybody else that I've learned. Lou Gamelin here from the Captain Lou Sports Extravaganza, 12-ounce Sports Network. What do you know, buddy?
Well, I'll tell you, Rod, thanks again for having me on the show. And before I answer that, I want to say congratulations on your award. 24
Thank you,
years in one spot. That's amazing, and it's well-deserved. So congratulations. I
Thank
think
you,
that's
Lou.
awesome. Well, I'll tell you, it's a combination of things. You know, from what I've heard from someone who has kind of got a close knowledge to somebody that knows Yzerman, I know that's third hand. When I talked to him, he said that I think the pressure started to really get to Yzerman, starting hitting his family. And I think that was one of the aspects. Because if you look back, if they were going to let him go, why didn't they let him go in April? Right? April 15th, April 30th, whatever. I think that got to him a little bit. And I think the other thing that led to his dismissal is his unwillingness to change or compromise his ways. You know, I've heard where, you know, he just wasn't ready to accept the new economics of the NHL. And he looked at Carlson's contract and things of that nature, Bedard's contract even. I know that came after he got let go, but I think those, Rod, were the two biggest reasons. And it's kind of ironic because, you know, back when he was a player, back in the 90s, the 80s, whatever, he almost got traded to Ottawa. I think it was 1996. And Scotty Bowman was his coach. And he told him, he said, you can't just be a scorer. You've got to change. You've got to adapt. You've got to be more of a complete player. Well, he did that. And what happened? They won 3 cups under his tutelage as a captain. He came to Detroit as a GM after what he did at Tampa, set him up for the success that they had. But he wasn't willing to adapt. It's changed. You know it, Rod. I mean, it's more of a player-driven league now, and the economics have changed. And to quote a longtime Free Press reporter that covered him for many years, Keith Gave, he became Scrooge McDuck in Detroit. And you know as well as anybody, you can't do that and be successful. You've got to change with it. You've got to adapt. And he didn't. And I think Chris Ilitch finally saw that, and they had a sit down, and they just decided to part ways.
Yet he'll supposedly still be within the front office, but I don't really expect that he'll be going into work every day. I don't know how you could after this.
No, I agree. I think it's a figurehead thing. You know, it's like what's going on here in the state of Michigan with the mess in the college level with Michigan and Michigan State, where they've got these guys in as figureheads. I mean, I don't think he's going to be involved in the process to elect the next GM and or president of hockey operations. If they're going to be successful, Rod, they got to get somebody from the outside. I think you would agree to that.
I think it will be somebody from the outside. And it's like what I was saying, I went to The Athletic to get the scoop on this, and they had nothing. And I was just so disappointed. They had some interesting ways of looking at it in that they haven't named anybody yet, which clearly there was no succession plan, which is actually really scary. I think we can all kind of agree the Red Wings are screwed up. You mentioned Bedard, and we're going to get to that. Let's not forget, this isn't all on Yzerman. And you're not saying that it is. You love him as much as we all love him. You probably love him more because you're a Red Wings guy. This isn't all on him. I feel like this is like a Red Wings problem, and he's just the latest. But I've talked about the roster's not in good shape. He does have to wear that.
Oh, he does, and you're absolutely right. It's a culture thing in Detroit. It's not like it was 20 years ago where it was the ultimate destination, hockey town. Everybody wanted to go there before and after the salary cap was implemented, right? Well, now it's not. I mean, Darren McCarty said it best last year. Nobody's afraid to come to Detroit to play, right? So that's number one. Number two, right now, not a whole lot of people want to come here. Now, will that change? I hope so. Obviously, you want to get a new GM team in. I mean, the guy at the top of my list has got you that night. He's responsible for you wearing that quarter zip, the Stanley Cup Finals with the Florida Panthers. Brett Peterson. I would open up the Brinks truck for him. and get him here in Detroit. And maybe if Larkin were to see that, he may stay here. But all honesty, I would be very surprised if Larkin still is going to be in Detroit on opening night on October 2nd.
To be honest, I don't think any of us, now that I think about it, were shocked that the move was made with Yzerman. It was just the timing of it. And so we talked about the Bedard contract, and he wants Patrick Kane there. Look, Kane's done nothing since he came back. The Rangers, let's not forget, the Rangers signed him when he was his first team when he came back from the injury. Did nothing there. And he went to Detroit. He's done nothing there. He's not the same player. Are you surprised Bedard would say we'd like him back in Chicago?
I'm shocked by it. I think, I don't think it's going to happen. I think ultimately, I could be wrong, but I think ultimately he'll end up in Buffalo. And I think that would be a smart move for him because he doesn't have to be relied upon as much. They've got the pieces set there to make another deep run. Whether they do or not, we'll see. But yeah, I was a little bit surprised by that. You're right. His days have long passed him of being ultra productive. I mean, what does he want him there as a mentor? I don't think Bedard needs a mentor like that. I think he's the man right there. I don't know. I'm not in Chicago, but that looks eerily similar, Rod, to what's going on in Detroit right now. They're in a funk, and I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel there, as well as Detroit. Because in Detroit, we're looking at, in my opinion, at least a couple of more years before they're relevant. And you can say what you want. Yeah, I know if they were in the other conference, they'd be in the playoffs, whatever. They're not. They've got work to do in Detroit, a lot of work. And God bless the next GM team, president, whatever, that comes in.
Captain Lou is with us. Captain Lou Gamelin from the Captain Lou Extravaganza 12-ounce sports network. Listen, we're going to get to the other sports in a second, but hockey is my jam, and I kind of think it's Lou's too. I know that you love talking hockey in the summertime because nobody else does around where you are. But I'll tell you what, you go to the United Center, one half of the jerseys in the crowd are Bedard, and I would say 15 to 20% are Kane. Like, he is a franchise great there. I just think it's very hard to go back. But speaking of franchise greats, you must have a take on Mike Babcock going to Edmonton.
I hope they win the Stanley Cup this year because that act's going to run old. I don't get it. I don't understand. I know he wins. He's got that old style attitude. It's just all the stories you've heard out of Detroit, what he did to Chelios, what he did to Madonna, what he did to Franzen, and then going to and what he did in Toronto. What's going to make him any different in Edmonton? Yes, he's a winner, and I think he's going to be. I hope they're only thinking that he'll be successful for a couple of years. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he wins the Stanley Cup. I'd love to see McDavid and Draisaitl get a cup. I really would. Is he the answer? I don't know. I was shocked when I saw that, but it's what's the old saying go? You just never know. Anything can happen.
Well, the crazy thing is, I often say there's more, behind the curtain or whatever.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, sometimes it is what meets the eye. And the owner didn't want to wait for Bruce Cassidy, so he went and hired Mike Babcock. And to be honest, the viewers that watch this show every day hear me say it all the time, and that is, it wouldn't shock me if they won the Stanley Cup. They got the talent, I believe, to do it. Babs has done it. So if they're in the top 5 in odds, by the way, with FanDuel, if you believe that kind of thing. Oh, by the way, Jeff the Stamps fan writes in, he says, Buffalo Sabres 2027 Stanley Cup champions. They're nowhere near the top 10, but maybe they should be in terms of odds. But that is also, by the way, Patrick Kane's hometown. So it's not shocking that is a place that he would like to go end his career. A lot of guys do that if they have the opportunity. Hey, how about this with the fans, or actually more so the media, saying, and some fans too, this is the slowest time or the deadest time of the sports here. I mean, I don't sit around like whatever, man. I told a buddy this morning, I don't sit on my ass much, wishing I was doing something. I mean, do you find this? Are we in the dog days of summer right now? I never even stopped to think about it till the people were whining about it.
Well, yeah, we are in the dog days of summer, but like you mentioned earlier, fortunately for us here in Michigan, you've got the Red Wings fiasco to talk about. You got Michigan and Michigan State, all that garbage that's going on with supposedly the 2 best universities in the state of Michigan. So there's a lot to talk about. And of course, with the Tigers, as bad as they played, and you were talking about Toronto with John Schneider, I mean, everybody's talking about AJ Hinch. Should he be let go? I mean, the AL is garbage, so it gives a little bit of hope. But Rod, I love baseball, and not as much as hockey, so you can only talk about it so much. And you get a, and I heard you talking about this is CFL football time, right?
Yeah.
Well, the Lions are starting next week with training camp, so the light is at the end of the tunnel for us there with the Lions. So looking forward to that. Talking about who's going to be the third string running back and tight end for the Lions, right?
That's a fact. I think a lot of people are looking. I'm looking forward to that. Believe me, I am. The Canadian Football League, this dawned on me on the weekend. It's branded on my soul. As much as I try to move on to a new life, it's just never going to happen. And I love the league, and they love me, so it's all great.
Yeah.
But I just know that not everybody in America is tuned into it, so we talk about it a little bit on this show, but not a lot. But you bring up the Lions, and I was not going to let you get off the air until we talked about that. Last week, USA Today had or maybe 2 weeks ago now, a list of the teams that should make a major jump from missing the playoffs last year to a big jump in the standings this year. And they had the Lions as one of them. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we all kind of expected that. I feel like that's a given. How do you feel about them this year?
Well, I'm pretty excited for them. The window's there right now, Rod. They obviously took a step back last year with the injuries, but everybody's had injuries. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. They've got a favorable schedule this year to really get off to a hot start. They start out with New Orleans right away, who they're improved, but they're playing them at home. They go to Buffalo. That's going to be tough, especially when they're opening up their new stadium. But then they've got a favorable schedule after that. 4 of the first 5 games are winnable. And I think on a talent level, they're right there with anybody in their division. I've kind of looked at the schedule right now, and I've got them as an 11-6 team, maybe 12-5, which will put them back in the playoffs. But are they as good as the Rams? I don't think so. But in a one-game setting, you never know. Seattle's going to be right there as well. Obviously, I'm worried about Chicago, but I'm not 100% sold on them either. I think Detroit is going to be. I think they're going to be as good as their offensive line can turn out to be, and I think they're going to be very solid. Watch out for Blake Miller, the guy that they drafted out of Clemson. He's going to step right in day one at right tackle. They're going to put Penei Sewell, who's all world, and the playmakers. Detroit's got just as many playmakers as anybody in the National Football League, led by Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he's the best wide receiver in the league.
I apologize, Lou. I'm not ignoring you. These young hockey players come in here. They train here in the summer. And they always go and stand right behind my camera on their way out, and they all wave. They're all like mid-teens.
Awesome.
And yeah, it's good. There's all these hockey boys here. They love the show, and they're good guys. Well, I think it's going to be an unbelievable season of NFL football. And Zig Fracassi was on here the other day talking about what's the toughest division. He said AFC West, NFC North, the one you're just talking about. But the NFC West has 2 of the top 5 teams in the power rankings to win the Super Bowl, the Rams and the Seahawks. Yeah. The problem is the Cardinals really drag everybody down. But the 49ers in that division, you know what I mean? But by the way, Ryan McCarthy writes in, he says, we'll see you in week 3, Captain Lou. You know Cardinal Ryan. That he's still a Jets fan. Somebody needs to do a exorcism on his soul as a Jets fan. They had the Jets, by the way, in that list of teams that are supposed to take a jump. Why on earth would anybody think now the New York Jets are going to take a jump?
Well, Ryan, close your ears for a second. It's not difficult to jump from the bottom of the barrel to the middle. All right. And they might be able to do that. So I don't think they're a playoff team. I mean, yeah, they might jump to a 6-7 win team. I don't know. I don't see it, Rod. I loved Aaron Glenn as a defensive coordinator for the Lions. I just think he's in way over his head. I think he's those are one of the teams that I said earlier in a prediction show that will be one of the first teams to make a midseason coaching change. That's my quote unquote hot take of 2026 or one of them. I don't see the Jets as being that successful.
I'm trying to remember who their quarterback was. I want to say it was Zach Wilson when the owner, Woody Johnson, stood before the media and said, if our quarterback could complete a pass, we might have a chance. I'm like, why are you even putting a microphone in front of this guy? Mike Florio said, he saw the video, he was like, is that AI? Who would say that? Woody Johnson would say that. By the way, while I have you and you're working in this perilous trade of media with the Captain Lou Extravaganza, what do you think about the latest round of names and the ESPN layoffs? Ryan Clark, now Tom Pelissero, Carl Ravitch going to get it. Just what's your take? The viewers are all watching it because they feel like they know these guys and gals.
You know, it's a sad day because you're right. It's like you become friends with some of these guys that have been there forever. Carl Ravitch, I think, when I saw he was 61 years old, I thought, that guy's older than I am. He sure doesn't look like it. He's been there 33 years. And, I've had the pleasure of having Stefania Bell on my show before. She's a pro's pro. And the way they got rid of Ryan Clark yesterday, can you imagine that, Rod? You're in the middle of a show, national TV, and all of a sudden they tell you, we don't need your services anymore.
I'm shocked that hasn't happened to me. I'm waiting for that to happen to me, but continue.
I don't ever see that happen with you, Rod. I really don't. And let's not forget Charles Davis. He got let go. This guy, to me, is one of the best analysts in college football, and they let him go. And God love Pat McAfee. I think he's created such a niche, and they're paying him, reportedly $60 million a year.
Right.
I know he's and I'm not saying he's a bad dude, but all that loot for him, and they're letting some real quality people go that are, to me, some of the best in the business. I'm kind of at a loss of it. I really am.
I think we all are. I'm totally with you, by the way. You were struggling with how to say that on the McAfee thing I'll say it. You're right. But he is driving the engine there. He's on every show, as you know. Yeah. College Game Day. He's on the midday on ESPN. Eric in Virginia's watching. He says, Charles Davis? Really? Cardinal Ryan says, that was Justin Fields. He's now in Kansas City, of which the owner was referring. Thank you. It was the endless string of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, we look at Linda Cohn. Last week, they announced her retirement. This week, she starts up a podcast. I'll say this about us, and we just never go away. When she started the podcast, I'm like, as if she retired. I hate to say it, Lou, but it's like she was whacked. They just allowed her, because she's been around for 100 years, to say she retired. Can you wait more than a week to start a podcast after you leave ESPN? Am I right?
I can't argue with you, and she's a professional too. I get it.
She's amazing. I love her.
Yeah. I mean, I sometimes didn't agree with her hockey, predictions. It seemed like, but she knows what she's talking about, right? And she does her homework. She's a pro's pro. She's been doing it forever as well. You're right.
She's unreal.
It's just let the ink dry for a minute before you go on to your next venture. I don't know.
Take a month. But she's from New York. She loves hockey. I love Linda Cohn, believe me. It's just once she started that, it hadn't even been a week. Oh, you didn't retire. Oh my God. Okay, Lou, this is great. Let's do it again soon, man. Good to see you.
Anytime. Love it. Thanks, Rod.
Yeah, me too. Go give him a follow, everybody. Lou Gamelin on all the social media, the Captain Lou Sports Extravaganza at the 12-ounce Sports Network. We'll be right. I feel like we have a lot to pick through when we come up right back after this here on the RP Show.
Ready for a night of rock with the Gene Simmons Band.
You know your man is working hard. He's worth a team.
Saturday, December 5th, Temple Garden Center. The Gene Simmons Band performing your favorite classic hits. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca. Don't miss the Gene Simmons Band.
Get ready to make unforgettable memories with your little ones at Elmo's Got the Moves, the all-new Sesame Street live show coming to your neighborhood. Friday, December 4th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Sask Tigs.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs guy through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Yeah, this will be the only day that I put this up here just because some viewers asked to see it. That's all. That's the CKRM icon recognition that I had. Kind of WKRP-ish, isn't it? So, yeah, it looks good, though. Our chat with Lou Gamelin is brought to you by Prairie Panels. All our guest segments are. Are you building a shop, a barn, or commercial space, or even a rink? Are you building a rink? Prairie Panels provides high-quality insulated wall and roof panels designed for durability and energy efficiency. Check them out at prairiepanels.ca or call them 306-985-0050. We do have a lot of Canadian viewers and a lot in Winnipeg, the Slurpee capital. News as I get to the sports update here. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers of the CFL are pleased to announce the 1988 and 1990 Grey Cup teams are the 2026 inductees into the club's Hall of Fame. Those two teams will join the 1984 Grey Cup squad, honored 2 seasons ago in the Hall as the Shrine continues to salute the 12 championships in franchise history. There you go. They'll be honoring them on Saturday, September 26th. The Boston Red Sox rallied for a 6-5 win over the Orioles on Monday for their 14th straight win, the second longest win streak in franchise history. Another win tonight. They'll match their longest ever, going back to 1946. Lou referenced this. Michigan Wolverines athletic director Ward Manuel will step down at the end of the year after being implicated in an internal investigation into the saga surrounding head football coach Sharon Moore's firing. Don't expect Manuel's exit or Michigan's nonsense statement explaining it to fix the school's culture problem, however. That's from yahoo.com. I didn't say it. The WNBA best links won their 6th straight game on Monday behind the best game of Olivia Miles' young career. The Rookie of the Year frontrunner put up 32 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists, joining Candace Parker as the only rookies with those numbers in a game. Candace did it back in 2008. Quick, where are the links from? I don't know. You can answer me, Producer Corey, if you want. Where are the links from in the WNBA? We used to have a baseball team called the Ottawa Lynx. I feel like this team is not in Ottawa. Iowa and Kansas will face off in an exhibition baseball game this fall at Field of Dreams Ballpark in Dyersville, Iowa, becoming the first Division I college baseball teams to play at the field originally constructed for the iconic 1989 film, which, by the way, was that not just one of the greatest movies of all time, sports or otherwise? Field of Dreams. For a guy that's worked in the sports industry for now 38 years, which was 1988 was when I first started in this perilous business. And that movie came out in 1989. Owners, marketers to this day in sports say, if you build it, they will come. God, that was a great show. MLB's third Field of Dreams game is fast approaching, with the Phillies and Twins playing there on August 13th in throwback uniforms they unveiled on Monday. Now, I mean, again, I do my Western Canadian Baseball League play-by-play, and we have a Field of Dreams game. I can't remember what we have. My team has not played in it yet. Maybe next year we can. Anybody want to tell me what they called it in our league? We should just Rural Roots game. That's what it. Rural Roots. Duh. I'm not that big of a maroon. But this year, Carter Beck's former team, the Saskatoon Berries, the guy that just went in the first round to the Atlanta Braves, his former team, the Saskatoon Berries, played in his hometown of Cardiff, Saskatchewan against the Weyburn Beavers, which is my second hometown, basically. I'll tell you what, if there was ever an outstanding commercial for this league that I spend the summers in, it is the Premier Collegiate Baseball League in Canada. It was Carter Beck, former league MVP, going #1 overall, first round, 26th overall, to the Atlanta Braves. Everybody seemed, well, not the people that know, but the people that don't know, they're like, oh, that's a pretty good league you're in up there. I wouldn't be working in a beer league. How about this? Mike in Winnipeg, Jason in Red Deer, Eric in Virginia. They all say Minnesota, the Minnesota Lynx. Thanks, boys. Happy birthday, Snowman, by the way. Snowman in the morning, checking in from Indiana. We got to get you on to talk some NFL here. We'll be right back with Overtime. Get your last comments for the...
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right. Welcome back, everybody, for the final segment. And I appreciate you, Eric in Virginia, where it's interesting. He said, I was paying attention. And he said, hashtag go Nats. I'm like, you don't see a lot of Washington Nationals fans tuning into this show or any show for that matter. And Eric says, read from the Markcast. Turn me on to your show. Well, thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. Our good friend Reed Johnson from Seattle. He has closed the doors on the Markcast. He did such a great job on it. It's become a war of attrition in our perilous trade. By the way, this thing will only be here today, and David number 2 from Winnipeg writes in on the Western Dodge text line, which, by the way, they're the official vehicle supplier to the RP show. Drive with confidence. Shop Western Dodge, financing, selection, and service you can count on. David number 2 writes in, he's in Winnipeg. He says, some viewers may not know what that WKRP reference is. One of the funniest things I ever saw was Les Nessman in the turkey drop. Oh, my God. That was their best episode, but everyone was amazing. And quite a lot, and I don't know why, but a lot lately people have asked me, why did you ever want to get into broadcasting? I didn't know why, but now that I think about it, my first crush was Lonnie Anderson, Jennifer Marlowe. And if you look at my 3 wives, that would explain a lot. Maybe that's why I wanted to get into radio, was because of the receptionist. I don't know. But they had all kinds of these on the wall at WKRP, and I know why I keep struggling to say that, because we're on WQVZ, 1700 AM every day. I apologize again for Scruffy swearing in hour 1. I can't do anything about him. Kirk, no, nobody can, says producer Corey. I mean, but why is he on the air? Because he's good. He's good. He's just right for the party, as Joe Rockhead says. And I mean, if you, I kind of was trying to get at earlier is I open up my website, the subscription site that I pay for, which I just got to cut back on those. But the latest one that I bought's got WNBA at the top of the page, which is cool. But I'm like, I don't follow it. I'm into the CFL. You guys are here because you're into the CFL. That's why you're here. There's basically Mr. Virginia. Kirk in Toronto writes in and he says, hi, Rod. Will the Argonauts lose their 3rd straight game to a backup quarterback? Miss field goals and extra points? Well, we don't know. I know you're asking questions. It's a rhetorical question, i.e. you're not expecting an answer. But that's my thing. I mean, we made the meme out of it yesterday, put it on our Facebook page. Which, by the way, if you enjoy this show, you should go follow our social media pages because the conversation continues all day and night long outside show hours at the Facebook and Instagram, and from time to time I will chime in on those. But I said, soccer's just not entertaining. Stop trying to tell me that it is. And some guy wrote in and said, well, it's better than watching a CFL game featuring 2 backup quarterbacks in front of 75 people like we saw in Ottawa the other night. And I'm like, can't argue with it there, but with you. But at least I watched that. And come on, it did go to 4 overtimes. I'll say this. I mean, the George Strait song, my life's been grand. It has. I'm not planning on checking out anytime soon. I'm just telling you, it's been a great life and wonderful guys that I've gotten to interview. I was thinking about this the other day. The people that I interviewed and was with before smartphones, like Bret Hart. I said to him, the hitman, the excellence of execution. I said, what was it like going from the Regina Auditorium, Stampede Wrestling, to Madison Square Garden with the WWF? He goes, I don't care. I never looked past the front row. Made no difference to me. I'm like, bro, I feel you. It's like Linda Cohn goes from ESPN to starting a podcast. You think she cares? She doesn't. My good friend Brett Wilson from the Dragon's Den. It's Canada's Shark Tank. He said, bet on the jockey, not the horse. Linda is the jockey. She's good. Doesn't matter if she's on ESPN. The RP show. Doesn't matter. Game Plus, YouTube, WQVZ. Doesn't matter. You're here. You found us. And you're loving it. On the poll, should John Schneider be fired as manager of the Blue Jays? Jason says 70% say no. I mean, part of the reason why I asked that question is it's not John's fault that Vladdy hasn't hit a home run at home yet this year, or the 3 errors in the field that were made last night in the 7-1 loss against Tampa Bay, but somebody's going to have to walk the plank. And then GMs don't usually fire themselves. Newsflash, GMs don't usually fire themselves. Somebody's going to get fired. You're 1 year away from winning less than a year out from winning the American League, and you're the worst team in the division. Something's going to happen. Hey, Eric in Virginia says, the Hitman, my childhood favorite wrestler. Mine was Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. I love that guy who's from Florida, died in Florida. He would beat his opponents and just go like this. I love that so much. He was in the first ever WrestleMania in 1985. And this will never be a pro wrestling show. I stopped being interested in pro wrestling when I discovered girls as a teen. Some guys never stopped, and that's cool, but I'm just saying my fandom ended late 80s. Oh, by the way, for the baseball fans, Scott Belford is joining us tomorrow from the Walk-Off podcast, and he's a stand-up comic. I want to see that guy live so bad. You can go follow him on Instagram at TheBelf. I'm a big stand-up comic buff, so when he comes on, we talk MLB, and then a little stand-up comedy, too. His favorite's George Carlin. Mine is largely Jerry Seinfeld, but in the right audience, I'll tell you that it's Andrew Dice Clay, who's coming to Fort Lauderdale September 14th. Tickets are $75, and I'm thinking of going. Thank you to Scruffy, Lou Gamelin, producer Corey, most of all of you. It's been a lot of fun today. It went by real fast. Thanks for allowing me to show you my award. You probably won't see it again. See you tomorrow. Thanks again, everybody.
That.